The wedding hall shimmered with light and music, every crystal hanging from the enormous chandeliers, scattering golden reflections across the polished marble floor. Guests filled the room with cheerful laughter, the sound of clinking glasses blending with the soft melody of a live orchestra playing near the far wall. Long tables decorated with white roses and silver ribbons stretched across the hall, covered with elegant dishes and sparkling crystalware. It was the kind of celebration people dreamed about for years, and everyone present seemed determined to enjoy every moment of it. Marina stood near the center of the room, surrounded by relatives, friends, and well-wishers who constantly approached her with congratulations. Her white wedding gown flowed gracefully to the floor, and the delicate veil resting on her shoulders made her appear almost ethereal beneath the warm lights. She smiled politely as guests greeted her, but after hours of ceremonies, photographs, and endless conversations, she felt exhausted. Still, she reminded herself that this was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. Across the hall, waiters moved swiftly between tables, carrying trays filled with champagne. The groom was speaking with a group of friends near the stage, while Marina briefly stepped aside to catch her breath. She walked toward a quieter corner beside a large window overlooking the city. Outside, the evening sky had darkened, and countless lights glittered below like distant stars. As Marina stood there, enjoying a rare moment of peace, she noticed an elderly woman sitting alone at a nearby table. The woman was unlike the other guests. While everyone else wore bright smiles and celebrated enthusiastically, she remained silent, watching the room with unusual attention. Her gray hair was neatly arranged beneath a small hat, and deep lines marked her face. There was something striking about her eyes, sharp, alert, and strangely serious. Marina searched her memory, trying to remember whether the woman was a distant relative or a family friend, but she could not place her. Before she could think further, the old woman slowly rose from her chair. Despite her age, she moved with surprising confidence. She walked directly toward Marina, her gaze fixed on the bride. At first, Marina expected a simple congratulations, another kind wish among dozens she had received that day. Instead, when the woman reached her, she glanced around carefully to ensure no one was paying attention. The music continued. Guests laughed nearby. No one seemed to notice them. The elderly woman stepped closer. "Marina," she whispered softly. Hearing her name spoken in such a serious tone sent an unexpected chill down Marina's spine. "Yes," Marina replied. The woman's eyes darted briefly toward the main wedding table, where two crystal champagne glasses stood waiting for the traditional toast. Then she leaned in even closer. During the toast, she whispered, "Switch the glasses." Marina blinked in confusion. "What?" "Switch them," the woman repeated. "Do it quietly. Don't ask questions now." The bride stared at her, certain she must have misunderstood. "Why would I do that?" Marina asked. But the woman ignored the question. Her expression remained grave. "Just remember what I said." A moment later she straightened and looked toward the crowded hall again. For an instant, Marina thought the woman seemed nervous, as though she feared being seen speaking with her. "Trust me," the old woman added quietly. Before Marina could stop her, the woman turned and began walking away through the crowd. "Wait," Marina called. The woman did not answer. Within seconds, she disappeared among the guests. Marina stood frozen, watching the spot where she had vanished. The sounds of celebration suddenly seemed distant. Her heart beat slightly faster. "Switch the glasses." The words echoed in her mind. It made no sense. Who was that woman? How did she know her name? And why had she spoken with such urgency? Marina glanced toward the wedding table. The two crystal glasses sparkled beneath the lights. They looked perfectly ordinary. A wave of embarrassment washed over her. Perhaps the woman was confused. Maybe she was elderly, and imagining things. There was no reason to take such a strange warning seriously. Yet something about the encounter refused to leave her thoughts. It was not merely the words themselves. It was the certainty in the woman's voice, the conviction in her eyes. Marina looked around the hall, searching for her again, but the mysterious guest was nowhere to be seen. Nearby, the master of ceremonies announced that the official wedding toast would begin shortly. Guests started returning to their seats, conversations fading into anticipation. Waiters made final adjustments to the tables, while photographers positioned themselves to capture the moment. Marina slowly turned toward the wedding table. The 2 champagne glasses still stood there, untouched, catching flashes of golden light from the chandeliers above. As applause filled the hall and everyone prepared for the toast, the old woman's whisper lingered in Marina's mind like a shadow she could not escape. The applause of the guests echoed throughout the wedding hall as the master of ceremonies invited everyone to prepare for the traditional toast. Conversations gradually quieted, and hundreds of eyes turned toward the beautifully decorated table at the center of the room. The orchestra lowered its volume, allowing the atmosphere to become more solemn and ceremonial. Crystal chandeliers bathed the hall in warm golden light, making every glass and silver ornament sparkle. Marina walked toward the wedding table beside her groom, smiling politely for the cameras. To everyone around her, she appeared calm and happy. Yet beneath that composed expression, her thoughts raced. The words of the elderly woman refused to leave her mind. During the toast, switch the glasses. Again and again, the strange warning echoed inside her head. She tried to dismiss it. There was no logical reason to follow the advice of a complete stranger. The old woman had offered no explanation, no proof, nothing except a mysterious request delivered in an urgent whisper. Still, something felt wrong. Marina could not explain why. Perhaps it was the seriousness in the woman's eyes. Perhaps it was the way she had looked around before speaking. Or perhaps it was the unsettling certainty with which she had delivered the warning. As Marina and her groom approached the table, photographers immediately gathered nearby. Camera flashes illuminated the scene. Guests smiled and raised their phones to capture the special moment. On the table stood 2 elegant crystal champagne glasses. Both appeared identical. Each was filled with sparkling golden champagne that reflected the light like liquid gold. Marina stared at them longer than necessary. Her groom noticed. "Everything okay?" he asked with a smile. "Yes," she answered quickly. He squeezed her hand reassuringly. The guests began applauding again as relatives stood to offer speeches. One after another, family members shared stories, blessings, and wishes for the newly married couple. Laughter occasionally erupted from the audience, followed by emotional moments that brought tears to some guests. Normally, Marina would have enjoyed every second. Instead, she found herself repeatedly looking at the 2 glasses. The old woman's warning lingered like an invisible presence beside her. She searched the crowd again. Maybe she could find the mysterious guest and ask for an explanation. But despite scanning dozens of faces, she could not see her anywhere. It was as though the woman had vanished. A knot formed in Marina's stomach. The speeches continued. Minutes passed. Finally, the master of ceremonies announced the most important toast of the evening. The crowd erupted into applause. Guests stood from their chairs. Photographers adjusted their cameras. The orchestra began playing a soft romantic melody. A waiter approached and carefully ensured both champagne glasses were positioned perfectly before the couple. Marina's pulse quickened. This was the moment. She looked at the glass nearest to her, then at the second glass. Everything appeared normal. Perhaps she was being foolish. Perhaps she had allowed a random comment from a stranger to disturb her unnecessarily. She almost laughed at herself. Yet at the last second, she remembered the old woman's face. Not fear, not confusion, certainty. The memory sent another chill through her. The groom reached for his glass. Guests raised theirs in anticipation. The hall fell silent. Marina realized that if she intended to act, she had only seconds remaining. Her heart pounded. Without drawing attention to herself, she adjusted the arrangement of flowers near the glasses. The movement appeared completely natural to anyone watching. As her hand passed between the crystal stems, she gently shifted one glass, then the other. The exchange took less than a second. So quick, so subtle. No one seemed to notice. The glasses had changed places. Marina withdrew her hand immediately and forced herself to smile. The toast began. Relatives raised their glasses. To love, happiness, and a long life together. The crowd cheered. Hundreds of glasses lifted into the air. Marina picked up the glass now standing before her. For a brief moment, she wondered whether she had made a terrible mistake. What if the old woman had been lying? What if this was some bizarre prank? What if she had switched the glasses for no reason at all? The uncertainty made her hands tremble slightly. Beside her, the groom lifted his own glass. Guests watched expectantly. Camera flashes burst repeatedly across the hall. Marina brought the rim of the glass closer to her lips, but hesitated. Something inside her urged caution. A strange instinct she could not explain. She lowered the glass slightly and glanced around the room. Everyone appeared focused on the celebration. No one seemed suspicious. No one appeared nervous. And yet, she could not shake the feeling that something hidden was unfolding beneath the surface of the joyous evening. The music swelled gently. The toast continued. The groom smiled confidently. Guests applauded once more. Marina forced herself to remain calm. Whatever the reason behind the warning, the glasses had been exchanged. The decision was made. There was no turning back now. As she stood beneath the glittering chandeliers, surrounded by smiling faces and the sounds of celebration, she felt an uneasy sensation creeping through her chest. She did not know whether she had prevented a disaster or simply acted on fear. But deep inside, she sensed that the mysterious old woman had not approached her by accident. And as the evening continued, Marina could not escape the feeling that the true reason for the warning would soon reveal itself. During